Hey guys, and welcome to Duel 94, which is also the next deck request video. I was requested to make a pure search Exodia deck. So obviously an Exodia deck, but I was not allowed to use any cards that have you draw cards. So no Upstart Goblin, no One Day of Peace, no Deslacuda, Worm Links, what other cards are common that have you draw? Royal Magical Library, Trade-In, Destiny Draw. A lot of very common cards in Exodia decks are not allowed. I myself thought about a combo with Daigusto Emerald and that High Trainer rank 8 monster, but then I remembered, wait a minute, those effects also have you draw, so not allowed. It was LSGMO who requested me to make this deck, and it was quite the challenge. I started off knowing a couple of possible combos. Exodia was obviously in there, then Gold Sarcophagus, Sangan, and then Emissary of the Afterlife. Unfortunately, Sangan was banned on the March 2013 ban list, so I had to make changes for that. But I couldn't really think of too much other combos, although I did come up with a couple of traps that I'll show later this video in the deck profile. I came up with a couple of traps that could combo well with Emissary of the Afterlife to quickly search for the Exodia pieces. But then there was the issue that Emissary of the Afterlife could only search for the legs and arms of Exodia, because it can only search for level 3 and lower normal monsters. If it would have just been level 3 and lower, then the head would have also been searchable, but it's not. So I had to either draw into the head or banish it with Gold Sarcophagus. Although I didn't encounter it in any of my test duels and in this duel either, there's a slight risk in going for Gold Sarcophagus to get your pieces, because if the opponent has Leviair the Sea Dragon and they see that you have Exodia, they're going to summon it to their side of the field. And then probably keep it there, although sending it to the graveyard for a tribute or for Synchro Summon or whatever, or if it's the Exodia head, then maybe an Xyz Summon. They might use that and then send it to the graveyard. But in such cases, I do have Dark Eruption in my deck to, would the opponent have me discard the cards through Dark Roll effects or something, that I Dark Eruption can get them back. But also, like, if they steal it via Leviair, I can use Dark Eruption to get them back, and otherwise I can use it on Battle Fader, because although Battle Fader is usually used to special summon, stop the battle phase, banish, it is sometimes used just as a set monster, although that barely ever happens. That did happen in my previous duel, although that was a couple of days ago. I cannot honestly remember why I set it face down first. I think just as an extra stall, because you only get one monster, and I'm going to I was going to get it back with Dark Eruption anyway, so that stalled for an extra turn, I guess. But in this duel, you might have noticed that a couple of card arts don't show. This is due to a DN server crash. We've had this for a couple of days now. Sometimes we get randomly disconnected, or at least got disconnected. It should be mostly solved now. There were some issues. A lot of people said they hacked DN or would hack DN, but those people just used the moment to get attention. I guess I can say I'm sorry. I can say that as admin to all of the users who got disconnected, who got frustrated that not being able to go on DN or that DN didn't work properly. We couldn't really do much about it. We as the admin team, but mostly BLS, or our leader, head admin, and well, he's the leader of DN, the creator of DN. He did a lot of work over the last couple of days to solve the server issues, and there were quite a lot of them. There's some status updates from him in the info box on the login screen if you want to read about that. Just a few really quick things to let people know what happens. It's not entirely solved yet, but it should be mostly done. A couple of card arts don't show yet, but slowly they'll start loading again, and that should work. What else? Yeah, I guess that's really all I can say. I'm just been doing some admin duty when DN was not down, which I expect took down quite a bit of our average. like for quite a lot of admins, the average of calls per day was taken down due to the fact that, you know, we weren't able to admin at times that we normally do, which was sometimes the case for me as well. But I'll manage. I'm playing spellbooks. I'm playing against spellbooks. And I was kind of afraid of that High Priestess effect. Although with Battle Fade and Swift Scarecrow, I would be able to stall no problem. But if I like get a trap that I want to stall with, High Priestess can just destroy it. Although, if it's like Waboku, then I could just chain it to High Priestess and that would be no problem. Now what I'm hoping for here is to draw into Where Art Thou, which pretty much says that if I control a level 1 monster, I can search for a level 1 monster in my deck and add it to my hand. I do take damage at the end of the turn if I don't summon that monster, or at least a monster of the same name during that turn, which I won't do because Exodia pieces. But usually I'll take the damage because I can, because I'm stalling for the rest and I wouldn't have taken any damage. But yeah, I didn't actually draw into that, but Battle Fader is useful for that, and if I had to, like now, if I would draw into Where Art Thou now, with both Battle Fader and Arcana for Zero the Fool gone, then I would have normal summoned Swift Scarecrow. And then I would have used it. Because I only need one more Exodia piece. I started with 2, got the 3rd one quite quickly, searched for the 4th one with Deep Diver, and yeah, that's really it. Now I set Call of the Haunted as like Priestess bait or MST bait, which does happen, MST right there. And I'm happy MST was using Call of the Haunted, because later on in like 1 or 2 turns I'm going to draw into Waboku. Call of the Haunted here wasn't really useful at all. I could have used it at the opponent's end phase, summon something, place it in defense. I guess that would have been useful for Deep Diver. That would have been useful. I would have gotten the final Exodia piece in 2 turns. But Waboku here, since MST is now gone, will be able to stall for an entire turn. If MST would have destroyed it right here at the end phase, I wouldn't have been able to use it. And he is going to get 1 full hit of direct attacks off later on in this duel. So that's 2 breakers and 1 High Priestess. Is going to get a direct attack off. So the fact that I'm able to stall in this turn with Waboku is a very important one, because if MST would have been used on this Waboku, then I would have been in trouble and I would have lost the duel. So High Priestess is activated. I'm like, chain Waboku, I don't want to take damage. Now here the opponent activates the effect of Wonder One, sending Wonder One and the equipped spellcaster to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Hasn't used the normal summon yet, so normal summons Copycat, which is an interesting tech in spellbooks, I guess. Equips it with Wonder Wand and then sends them both to the graveyard again to draw 2 more cards. Now, what am I hoping to draw here? I have 29 cards in my deck. One of them is Exodia. I'm like, I don't really know. Final Exodia piece, maybe? I get Dark Eruption. That's one of the few cards that doesn't really help at all, because I don't have any Darks in my grave. No Exodia pieces, no Battle Fader. I'm like, yeah. That's going to be High Priestess bait. Later on. I'm like, I can't really do much here anyway. So I just pass the turn to the opponent. I could have, I guess, set Dark Eruption and had him attack into it. Although, he has Breaker. He would have used Breaker on it. Now that I remember, yeah. And I wanted him to use Priestess, so that he wouldn't be able to use Priestess later. Although, when I read Priestess later, I realized it wasn't just from the graveyard. You can also banish them from your hand, and he's bound to have a card in his hand somewhere. And I'm like, Emissary of the Afterlife. Yes, I can search for the final Exodia piece for that. And then I thought, you know, I can normal summon, and then crash into one of them, like Kamikaze into Breaker, and then I win. But he could have had Trapple. Bottomless Trapple, more likely. Dimensional Prison, expecting me to... Like, he doesn't want me to get the Exodia piece, and he doesn't mind me taking a little less damage, because he can finish me off next turn anyway. Because the only thing I have to defend myself is a trap, and he can destroy that with Breaker. And something he showed after the duel, he had Effect Veiler in his hand. So, yeah. Good thing I said it. That's just the safer option. The only thing that can really stop it is like Evolsar Dolka and Evolsar Dolka, Divine Wrath, and Herald of Orange Light. And I guess Soul Drain, since it activates in the graveyard. But yeah, Emissary of the Afterlife destroyed. Both players now have to add a level 3 or lower normal monster from the deck to the hand. It's mandatory for the opponent, so if the opponent doesn't have it, you are allowed to verify that by looking at the opponent's deck. I'm like, I would have done that, but it's not necessary. Exodia, obliterate. I won the duel. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys at a moment in the deck profile. Welcome to the deck profile. That didn't really work out. That didn't really feel right. It wasn't the best Mario impression at that time. I can do it better. Anyway, this is the deck profile for the Pure Search Exodia deck. I should note that a lot more cards than just these have been in my head. I have tested a lot more. I decided in the end to go with this. I can honestly say I've never been fully satisfied with how the deck works, because it's never really that consistent, because with the drawing cards it's just a lot more consistent. Emissary of the Afterlife is fine in the deck, and then like so Scarecrow, Battle Fader to stall, okay. But I've never really been fully satisfied. But then later on I decided like I'm never going to be fully satisfied without the drawing cards. So I just in the end decided on this deck. I have a lot more options. Over here I have Search Exodia 2, which is this deck. I had put all of my ideas into Search Exodia. As you're going to see in a second, I'm going to discuss those shortly as well. Like with other options, would you want to play a pure Search Exodia deck as well? Or just for inspiration for a new kind of Exodia deck, whatever you want. Exodia pieces, obviously, because otherwise it's not an Exodia deck. Emissary of the Afterlife, as explained in the duel, searches for a level 3 or lower normal monster, which is the hand, the arms or legs, not the head, because it's not a normal monster. Whereafter, as explained in the duel, if you have a level 1 in the field, you search for level 1 from the deck. 3 Dark Eruptions to get back one of the Exodia pieces, possibly Battle Fader, but you barely ever do that, or Summoner Monk, because Summoner Monk also is a dark monster with 1500 or less attack. 3 Call of the Haunted, can bring back Summoner Monk with that, or Deep Diver, but normally you'd bring back Emissary of the Afterlife with it to reuse its effect. Battle Fader to stall for time, and not only that, the fact that it special summons itself to the field makes you have a level 1 on the field, which makes Whereafter Thou more useful. I guess I can normal summons for a Scarecrow, but normally you'd always keep it in your hand. Only like in the situations that I explained in the duel, which you normal summons with Scarecrow. Now, another level 1 that you can use for Whereafter Thou is Arcana for Zero the Fool, because it just cannot be destroyed by battle. You set it, cannot be destroyed by battle. Can be destroyed by card effects, like it happened in the duel, but if the opponent doesn't have such cards, then, well, you have a good staller in your hands. Summoner Monk, I have a couple of spells, like Dark Eruption. Like, in some duels, you'll be using multiple of them. In some duels, you might not even be using any. So then you can use them as discard fodder for Summoner Monk's effect. Whereafter Thou, you might already have all 4 arms and legs in your hand, and then Whereafter Thou would be the discard fodder. And then you can summon Emissary of the Afterlife, and then make sure that, well, Emissary either crashes into something or just waits until the opponent destroys it to search. I've had one test duel where I already had these 4 pieces, and I wanted to use Summoner Monk to summon Emissary because there isn't any other monster you can summon with it. But then I'm like, wait a sec. If Emissary is then destroyed and its effect is mandatory, and I cannot add any monsters due to me already having all 4 in my hand, then the opponent will be allowed to verify my deck, and I didn't want the opponent to check my deck. And I originally only had like a couple of rank 1 monsters because I never expected to go for anything else. But then I'm like, in case I already have all 4 of these, and I have Summoner Monk and I go into Emissary, I do want a couple of rank 4 Xyzes, so I added a couple in. Haven't actually used them since, because usually you'll still want to search for an Exodia piece, but just in case, a couple of rank 4 Xyzes that you could use. Gold Sarcophagus to banish an Exodia piece from your deck and then add it to your hand. Scapegoat for stalling, for one, and also to get a level 1 in your field for wear off, though. Threatening Roar and Waboku to, well, make sure you don't get any damage for one turn. At least battle damage. Heavy Storm to destroy a lot of stuff that your opponent can use to stop you. And then 2 copies of Deep Diver. At first I was really against Deep Diver because, like with Gold Sarcophagus, you get the Exodia piece in 2 turns, so you lose 1 card, you get 1 card, so it's okay. Deep Diver, you lose Deep Diver, and then you place the Exodia piece on top of your deck, meaning you draw the Exodia piece instead of something else. So like instead of something else that could help you search for something. Like in this duel, I did not mind using Deep Diver at all because I had 1 copy of Scarecrow and 1 Battle Fader, so I could stall for some more time to get some more search cards in. That was just fine, but I didn't really feel well about Deep Diver, but in the end, after some testing, I did decide to go for it. In the extra deck, I have Slack, Magician, and Mirror the Giant Star. Haven't actually used them ever, probably will never, but they're there for the chance. Evil Swarm, Nightmare, Gaga Cowboys. As you can see, some still without picture, but they'll be back soon. 1 Abyss Dweller, 2 Daigusto Emerald, which draw cards. And the other effect, special summons normal monsters, which I don't want, so get rid of the Daigusto Emeralds and think in 2 others, because those are not allowed. Lavolval Chain as sort of a second version of Deep Diver, in a way, placing an Exodia piece on top of the deck. Or if you have Dark Corruption in your hand, send it to the graveyard so you can just add it right back. Maestroke, Steel Storm Roach, Diamond Direwolf, Black Ship of Corn, Utopia, Gemnite Pearl, and Evil Storm Ouroboros. You can add 2 others, you can change stuff, whatever you want. If you just quickly go into Search Exodia, you're going to see save. You're going to see a lot of different ideas. Now, a good amount of these I've already explained. Pot of Duality I haven't, it's a search card that you can use. I decided against it. Regretful Rebirth. You can use it when a monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, and then you special summon it in defense position, but then in the end phase it's destroyed again. This is used to combo with Emissary of the Afterlife. Same for Time Machine. Monster destroyed by battle, sent to grave. Time Machine special summons it back to back in the same battle position. My first test deck focused on Emissary of the Afterlife a lot more than the current deck, but I decided against that in the end because that really stopped the consistency. Like I felt that the current deck that I used in the duel is more consistent. Spirit Reaper to stall for time, Arcanium for Zero the Fool, Call of the Haunted, Dark Factory of Mass Production. Take 2 normal monsters from your grave, add them to hand. That would work with the Exodia pieces and with some other cards that I'll explain in a sec. Messenger piece to stall for time. And like MSD and Heavy are common, but then they'd have to use that on Messenger piece, and then you'd be able to use Time Machine, Regretful Rebirth, Call of the Haunted again. Marshmallow to stall for time, Mirror Force to destroy stuff, same for Torrential, Dimensional Prison to stop stuff, Level Limit to switch them into defense, or, well, force them into X-seizing, because Level Limit doesn't work on them. Doom Shaman was a suggestion I got on the forums from someone. Why did I use that again? Fiend summons from your hand or from either player's graveyard to summon Emissary back. That's right, because Emissary is a fiend type. Armageddon Knight to actually send an Exodia piece to the graveyard purposely, so you can get them back with like Dark Eruption or Dark Factory. Puppet Master, paying 2,000 life points to target 2 fiends in the grave and special summon them. Once again for Emissary. The Shallow Grave, select a monster in your grave, special summon a face down defense. Once again for Emissary. Can be used for Spirit Reaper and some stallers, but usually Emissary. Dark Greffer, you can discard a dark, send a dark from deck to grave. once again, Exodia pieces and Dark Factory. I have Summoner Monkey, Creeping Darkness. You can banish 2 darks in the grave because, like, I have Emissary, Spirit Reaper, Battle Fader, Armageddon Knights, Doom Shaman, Puppet Master, Dark Grepher. All of them are dark, so this would have worked in that deck. And then you add a level 4 dark from deck to hand, which is Emissary. Magical Stone Excavation, I've thought about that. Discard 2 cards and target a spell in your grave and add it to hand. If you want to call it a minus, it's a plus or a minus thing. It's a -2. Because you get rid of 3 cards and get back 1, but that 1 card might just be really helpful. And then, of course, Wear Arthur, which I used in the duel. I have Zen Mains to stall, which I would Xyz into with Spirit Reaper. Although Reaper would do fine, but if they have cards like High Priestess or Darkhold, then Zen Mains would be better. Levolval Chain, which I already showed in my deck. And then Constellar Ptolemy M7. And this was for its effect that once per turn you could attach an Xyz material from this card to target 1 monster on the field or in either player's graveyard and return it to hand. This, together with Dark Factory of Mass Production and Dark Eruption, will be used to take an Exodia piece from the graveyard and just add it back to the hand. Those are my ideas that I've thought about, but this is the deck that I ended up with. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The next deck request coming up is an Ally of Justice deck, and I hope you are looking forward to that. See you then.